Welcome all back to No Tact Talk. We have a special episode today. No semantics in the beginning. I'm just gonna get right to it. Okay. If you're watching this on YouTube or you want to see the pictures, we already got a rivalry going on. Ohio State and Alabama. We'll get to that in a second. I'm feeling good, y'all. I'm feeling way better. I'm recovering from, I guess, all the stuff that's been going on in the world. And it's actually just on time of us doing this podcast because we're going to be talking about some pretty hefty, heavy topics, right? But it has to be done. A conversation has to be had. And I do say I think I have a very qualified person to talk about this with. Because you're like, Jay, I'm not going to listen to you. You don't know nothing. Yes, it's all my personal opinion, but personal opinion is half of the battle. And to complete that, we have somebody here that is going to complete that circle for us. So I'm going to read her bio. Dope bio, love bios, because that means you did something with your life. So, and it's Napier? What was it?
You can say Napier. It's Napier or Napier.
Napier.
As long as you don't say something wrong.
I want to say it the right way.
It's April Napier, but if I'm okay with people say Napier, but sometimes people say Napper, and then I become April Nappy Hair.
You ain't finna call me Cotes. No, it's Coates.
Why they put that spin on it?
I don't know.
It's gotta be your skin. That's
probably. They think it's a lot of people here in Austin for sure. Be like, coming to me speaking Spanish. Anyway, April Napier is a wellness and strength coach, a writer, transformational speaker, photographer, and as well as a doctorate candidate of social work from the University of Southern California. She has previously worked in higher education as an assistant professor of social work, director of multicultural affairs, and drink some water now. Halfway through it. She is the founder and chief executive officer of Raw Honey, all caps, Wellness and Coaching LLC, which utilizes artistic expression and person-centered therapeutic strategies to induce a liberation from social norms and produces a state of holistic wellness and self-alignment. Now, your normal person would have messed that up, but I read books.
You did good.
I read books.
That's the best bio read I've had because you don't realize how disrespectful it is to mess up somebody's bio until somebody messes up your bio. It's so.
You remember all that hard work?
Man, yeah, I'm like, you better say my hard work correctly.
The platform includes the podcast Nectar as well as a blog. So she is a podcaster as well. She also holds photography events and workshops to help participants interactively endeavor in liberation towards wellness and authenticity, one of my favorite words. She uses her artistic nature to share her testimonies and energize all to collectively reflect, express, and heal. Welcome, Miss April. Insert applause right here. How's it going? What's up?
I'm great. I honestly, like you said, I'm just trying to recover from things of the world. I'm trying to take life one day at a time. I'm taking the lows of the lows, but I'm taking the highest of the highs. And I'm grateful for all of it.
That's good. So with the new segment we have here on No Tact Talk, it is what would be rather your favorite, what would be your favorite superhero? And also what superpower would you like to have?
Ooh.
So one's favorite superhero. And then if you could pick any superpower in the world, no matter what it is, you could be like fly. What's that? That's the movie on Disney Channel, Sky High. Where a dude could just melt. If you want to melt, it's all good.
That's all you need. Okay, so my favorite superhero.
Yes.
Just because Father's Day is coming up, my dad's nickname is Superman.
Hey.
But I really like the character. Like I could just like the shaping of the character of Superman and how
the Boy Scout.
I mean, it's just. I don't know. I just love the whole comic of Superman.
Okay.
So I'm going to say that. The second runner-up, of course, is Storm.
Yeah. Wakanda forever. Yes.
If I had a superpower, oh my goodness.
Put you on the spot.
It would probably be, this is so weird, but it would be like to make people like feel better from a hug. Like
what?
I'm able, like
you could do anything, and you want to make people feel better from a hug. COVID is real. Don't be hugging folks.
Hug them, and like their children are healed. I don't want to be Jesus or anything, but like I want them to put a smile on their face immediately. When I just want to be able to share love with people.
Well, that's already real, ain't it? You can't give somebody a hug. You're not mad about it.
Some people hug and they be thug hug.
Oh, yeah.
Hug and they still be like straight face.
Their countenance will be changed from April's hugs.
Oh, okay. Pray so.
This is the first one.
That and I'm sorry,
Oh,
I
go
gotta
ahead. No, you go.
that and eat as much food as I can and never gain weight.
Well, that's good. That's a real superpower. So you should have started with
Yeah.
that one. That's the one. For me, like as you see, I have a bunch of superhero
I
tattoos.
see, it's dope.
Yes. I'm a super nerd. I'm proud of it. Love superheroes. I always tell people I will have super speed because I'm slow. Right.
Oh,
This is the part of the segment. So I'm giving like a nugget. So if you didn't, the next person I have on here and listen to this episode, they're not gonna know the secret of this segment, right? So when people tell you their favorite superpower, and I recommend this for anybody going on a date, trying to get to know somebody, it tells you a lot about them, right? So for me, I want to be super fast because I'm slow in real life. I got to work at it. It's rough, right? Ever since I was young, I was the slowest one. I got flat feet, like it's crazy. I had to work for everything in my life to be fast. And that was my own little plight. So I love the Flash, right? And then, like, he can eat as much as he want and not gain weight too. If you want to think about it, he had a high metabolism.
That's true.
So that's all encompassing. So you think of it like this. So you say, hey, what's your favorite superpower? She says, I want to be invisible. That's the easy one. That's not a superpower. Well, it is. It's just like, why does she want to be invisible? You dig deep. It's a light topic.
That's deep. That is deep.
Or if they say I want to have super strength, they feel weak in some areas. Or a lot of people who think about what is it? Like telekinesis, stuff with their mind. Like it tells a lot about, you know what I'm saying? Like the critical thinkers, but they're also harsh on themselves. The whole science behind it is crazy. Anyway, that was that segment. So I reached out. This to kind of give you people some context out there. I reached out because I was going through a podcast list. Obviously, we support all Black businesses at this point from now on, right? Y'all listen to that. But don't give y'all no excuse to charge us more because y'all know we coming. No, reached out. I don't think that anything that I do is on mistake. Anything that happen in life is on mistake. I feel like this is a genuine connection. I'm glad we're able to like connect and collaborate because in the next month or so, I'm gonna be on Raw Honey, and it's gonna be raw as well. But I want to say I'm proud. I'm gonna start off. Usually I say at the end, like I'm proud, right? I think we'll kind of to transition to the conversation as well. The healing process is we have to congratulate people just for grinding it out, being successful, clear skin.
Because child, it wasn't always like this. Let me tell you.
Woo, so I'm proud of you as a sister. I appreciate it. I'm proud of you for doing your thing as a woman in this world. And speaking of like the current state of the time, and I looked at some chart. It was like white man, white woman, black man, black woman. So throughout history, one of the strongest, if not the strongest, creature on earth, a black woman, to support a fragile ego black man. I'll get off my high horse in a second, but I have to make sure because a lot of times we feel like it has to be one, like you did something. No, you doing your thing. You're obviously very successful, and it should never get old, right? It should never get old from somebody appreciating you for what you do because your circle could be like, oh, girl, you always doing something great. You always coming out with this and coming out. So, congratulations. So,
today.
how did you get into, how did you kind of get started in this whole social work, like this from the beginning?
Oh gosh. Okay. So in the beginning, no, I'm kidding.
God, right.
So, the idea of social work definitely came from my dad. I watched him go to school. He went to school for social work and I would go up to classes with him and everything. So I saw that firsthand and knew I loved helping people.
Yeah.
I just didn't know like it would expand in this way. So first I wanted to be a teacher. And then I wanted to be a journalist because I love to write. And then I wanted to be a lawyer because I loved advocating for people. Okay. And so I'm just grateful that I've been in spaces where I've been able to mesh all of those together. And so originally I wanted to be a therapist. I went through, say, pretty decent, moderate to severe amount of trauma as a kid, especially like losing my mom and at a young age and everything. And so I wanted to help kids feel equipped to go through the things that I went through and not feel like they're in it alone. I experienced racism at age 5. And so the identity issues, I lived in San Diego, which is not very diverse, well, Black diverse.
Yeah.
And there was a kid that said, you can't play with us because you look like the concrete. We had like blacktop. And she was like, you're too dark,
Oh,
play with us in the circle. And she would like push me in my chest and push me out the circle. And I remember going home. I didn't know
man.
what color was because I had a white grandpa. Um, I have mixed aunts. Like we didn't
Yeah.
do color in my house. Like we knew we were black and we knew my but we didn't do this whole one is better than the other. And
Yeah.
so when I went home, I was just like, that's weird because us black and white people, we're cool in my house. So why maybe
Just
my
like
black
Mixed Dish. You watch that show?
yes,
Yeah,
it's
just like
so
that.
confusing. And that show actually just like really healed me in a lot of those areas. But I remember drawing up a bath and putting some bleach in the bath and sitting in it and hoping my black like came
Wow.
out. And my dad came in and he's like, "What are you doing? Like, why does the bathroom smell like bleach?" And I just remember crying, saying, "I'm not good because I'm black. This girl told me I can't play with
This
her."
was at 5?
5.
Jesus.
And so from
Man.
there, you know, thankfully my dad is a fighter,
Yeah.
literally and figuratively. And
Yeah.
I learned that identity is everything. Unfortunately, quickly had to learn, what do I feel about how I am and what I look like,
Mm-hmm.
and how do I showcase that to the world, and how do I survive based on how other people perceive me, just because of my skin, just because of my ethnicity, just because of my gender, anything
Yeah.
else.
That's so from there, so you had that drive from dad, which is awesome. It lets you know how important a parental figure is.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want your superpower to be a hug. I mean, that is awesome.
Yeah,
I'm gonna chime on that the whole time.
I know, right?
Um, for me, and this is kind of like a back and forth I kind of want to do. For me, we didn't even find out like what I was mixed with, because I'm mixed as well. Well, I guess like a 25%, whatever it is. But my dad, my brother, like kind of like, I'm begging my dad, but hey man, you need to get this done, because he didn't know his dad at all, right? And so we found out that his dad was white. And we making bets like in my family, like, man, he gonna be You see I'll show you a picture of my dad later.
Uh-huh.
Curly, I mean, smooth dude, smooth.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he used Vitalis. You remember Vitalis?
No.
Right. Look it up. Y'all look up
Okay.
Vitalis. So it's like, it's just oil you put, but it's pretty much what white people use, or coarse hair or whatever,
Okay.
right? So it never really clicked. I
Mm-hmm.
thought about it one time. I said, maybe white, because I got sunburned real easy one time. But I was like, right. Um, that's the thing too that struck a chord with me with mixes, is because you don't get to really pick and choose. You black, right? And that's kind of been the education that we've been having to. I've been seeing that I've been having to convey to my white counterparts, that
Mm-hmm.
I can't. There's no mix box, right? Like she was talking about. There's no. You can put other if you want. But in the eyes of the culture, you're black.
Right.
And growing up, like, I was just telling my dad, I was talking to him about this in high school. They used to call me, I was real bright. Honestly, you see, I'm at the same clothes at Wall. This is me with a tan in Texas. They call me
Same.
in December.
Texas
Yeah, you
tan.
get it. So everybody would just be like, man, you bright, this and the third. So like for me, a little bit, I don't think it was that bad, but I was kind of have like some identity issues, because I'm like, man, I'm so bright. And I look at look at my leg, I got the child, I can see my veins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would just chime on that. And so like I twisted it and then made it like a thing. So like my senior jacket said light skin. And
Wow.
so like the freshman and the sophomore would come in, oh, I heard about you, you light skinned. I'm like, okay. But like earlier on, 9th, 10th grade, even earlier than that, it was something I got bullied over. And it was something that like, but I had to use my mouth instead of my fist, because I was like 120 pounds, real skinny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you made a wise choice.
So I had to use my words, right? And so I was like, I would get them back right back. And so like then even if I fought, it would be like, well, you just beat him up because he said something about your mom or whatever, right? Like it was like a coping mechanism, like a shield I put up. It's probably why I'm talking now, because it's something I always had to deal with. And so even now I'm seeing more people speak up about it. And I think that video, I seen that video. Yeah, the multi
Yeah.
generational
Mm-hmm.
trauma. Tell me what you think about that a little bit before we get down. What you think about
Okay.
that video?
I
I don't
could
want
talk
to
about
talk too much.
intergenerational trauma all day. Like I said, that's my doctoral dissertation. So I'm
Speak
making
it.
I'm making a sport-based curriculum for Black boys.
Okay.
Because what we don't realize is, one, like, we've endured this intergenerational trauma,
Yeah.
this systemic thing that's happened literally since 1492 to the native bodies,
Yeah.
and then passed on to slavery to our bodies. And so physiologically, neurologically and biologically, we are feeling and experiencing the trauma of our ancestors because it's within our DNA.
Okay.
So the impulsive responses, the neurological composition, it's altered by the trauma that they've experienced. And so from conception, we are now traumatized.
This from our
And
DNA?
in our DNA.
Okay. Wow. So
Yeah, and it's
how does
scary,
that
right?
work? How does that work though?
Because so it's kind of like the brain is a beautiful thing of like,
Yeah.
if you repeatedly do something over and over, it learns a behavior. And so when I've endured a trauma, if I know if I do this and you jump and I do this enough times, your
Yeah.
brain will start doing that. You'll jump when anybody's like, hey, and you'll jump.
Yeah.
And so your brain has been taught that. And so the trauma that our ancestors have endured, they have these responses within their system. And so since that's their biological composition, literally from conception, that is passed down through their lineage. And if we don't do the work to liberate our bodies and to unlearn those responses and recognize where those responses come from, that's how it's passed on all the way to us, that we are feeling those same impulses. We're like, I don't know why I get mad when someone cuts me off.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm avoidant when I'm getting in relationships. That's because we have this neurological composition and these somatic responses, not only from all of our ancestors, that's exponential, like great grandma, grandma, mom, me, but then I'm dealing with my life and my somatic responses from my personal trauma. So it's just like piles of somatic responses that's within our DNA, within our biological composition. And so we have to work to liberate all those things, which is like a complete downhill slope, completely.
So is it like comparing DNAs, like a black man and a white man? And you could tell a difference?
And I think the problem is that people aren't doing enough studies on that, or the studies that they're doing.
Because they don't care.
They're focusing more on evolutionary traits versus like the perpetuation of trauma. The other hard part is most of these somatic responses are very hard to trace. So women especially Black women and I struggle with all this literally currently, who are having reproductive issues, who are having like elbow pains or knee pains, who are having weird cysts with no symptoms or that are symptomatic. These things that are coming up, migraines, severe migraines, heart problems, there's usually no link to it. And you'll go to the doctor over and over and they're like, what is going on? I don't see anything. And I've had 2 mentors that actually passed away from that.
What?
And just a sudden heart attack, age 30.
And that comes from the generational trauma.
As well as current trauma of like, our bodies have just numbed itself to those things. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do on my platform, because I don't want to be just another wellness coach. And not to say that anyone else who's a wellness coach is just another wellness coach, but I'm not trying to like.
They basic, you not. I got you.
No, but like what I really am focusing on is like, hey, I know that you're struggling to fight. The reason that you're struggling is not because you're not trying. The reason you're struggling is because we have historical trauma living within us.
Okay.
And it's going to be tough to liberate it.
So you deal with the current trauma and also recognizing the generational trauma when you're talking to somebody. So how do you break down those walls of like, I mean, because they're there with talking to you. Because even, hey, do me if you want. Hey, whatever. You ask me some questions. I don't care. I got stuff going on too.
Man.
But my thing, because I actually have I just got referred to a therapist because I wanted to go. And I didn't know to go because of the military. And I'm in a special duty assignment being a recruiter. So I do like some secret squirrel stuff and going up the chain, and I've come to find out, everything is covered. That's great. But in the Army, if you do something like that and it's known, then it's like, it might hinder like your job and things like that. I ain't trying to do that. We had to do a psych eval even just to be a recruiter, Yeah, because my own little rant on that, and I could talk about that all day. Because what happens is you get a little 17-year-old Johnny, and he's fresh, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, as they say. He
Mm-hmm.
goes on, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this and be infantry. I'm gonna do some cool like starting coach, and I do all this work for him. You know, like all the stuff that's going on in his life. He broke a leg. I'm going to Dale Children's Medical Center. I'm going everywhere just to get all this stuff for this kid. And then the last day, when it's time for him to go, my girlfriend don't want me to go, or I changed my mind because a Call of Duty tournament is supposed to be next week. Like, bruh, you know. Anyway, that's just me. But they think it's military based, and I said, well, no. I've actually had time, and I think we talked about this before too, to feel. That makes sense. I had time to, since the COVID hit and everything, to just relax and kind of be like in my own head because I think a lot, talk really fast, might be a little ADD in there. I don't know. Never been diagnosed, right? But no, so many thoughts in my head. I said, I finally got a chance to calm down, and we were just kind of like pillow talking, me and my wife one night, and we just started talking like my family stuff and different issues and like work and everything. All of it just started pouring out till I'm in like tears, right? And then I've had other situations very similar to that. I said, I might want to talk to it. And the first thing I thought about was not necessarily me, but it was like, I don't want to put that on my future kids. That's the thing. Which is why I think your work is so important. Like because if it runs that deep, they're gonna get some of Jay.
That's
right?
that's what happened. You know, that's the first thing I'm thinking about. And I used to be the type that was like, every time I saw a kid, I'm like, oh, my ovaries, like I want to have a kid. But then I've recognized that bringing kids into the world is a responsibility. It's not just a financial responsibility, but it's thinking about what trauma am I going to place upon them, you know. And I'm not going to be perfect. There's never a time where I'm just going to be a clean slate, but I do want to recognize what skills do I have to work with so that I can equip my children as well as liberating my own bodies. Because once I conceive that child, that's it. You know, they have my physiological composition, you know, and I want to liberate them as much as possible. And, you know, so going back to your question on like,
I know I get sidetracked. I apologize.
No, I do it too. That's why I was like, let me remember this question before we both get lost. But, you know, that's why I call the platform Raw Honey. Okay. You know, it'd be nice just to have the honey, of course, right?
Yeah.
But it's a raw process. It's a really tough process. And I don't think people want to say that because they're like, well, people don't want to do it. We don't like hard things.
They don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, it doesn't
pull
that feel
scab,
good.
Right?
It's tough. But what's more tough, and that's why I say like, so RAW actually is an acronym. It stands for restoration, awareness, and knowing your why.
Okay.
And so I do it in order because restoration is first looking back and seeing what has happened to us, what has gone wrong, what is going on in our bodies, what's going on in our lives.
Yeah.
And seeing that this filtration of this kind of oppression that's especially in our bodies of color is financial, it's emotional, it's tearing up our families, it's systematic as far as like criminal and education and city and regional planning. Okay. And so once we see where it is, now we can't tackle all of them at the same time. And I think that's a big frustration we have of like, I feel like I'm being attacked from all circles, so I'm going to punch everyone at the same time. Yeah. And so awareness is that next piece of like, okay, I recognize what's going on. What can I handle? Where do I fit in those places of what's going on? How do I respond to this situation? How am I triggered by this situation? How am I affected and impacted by this? Where can I put my foot in here? That's the awareness. And then learning that over time of like, am I really shooting for success, or am I overworking because I feel the imposter syndrome?
Okay. So when do you say BS though? You talking to somebody and they're like, well, I can't do this, or I can't do that. I don't want to, because it's hard doing that. So how do you attack that? Because that's what kind of what sticks out to me is like, if I'm going, I'm not going to want to pull that scab. So how do you transition somebody into like looking in the mirror?
So much empathy. Empathy comes first.
You got, that's the superpower you got already.
Oh, we first can't jump in and be like, no, you're wrong. Like, stop making excuses. And I think that's that tough, again, this is one of the things, that's that toughness. And resiliency is important. Don't get me wrong. Resiliency is one of my favorite words. But we can't confuse resiliency with tough.
Okay.
And I think the difference is resiliency is the grit. And like it's first, resiliency is an awareness and acceptance of the situation,
Yeah.
and then learning how to stay strong after accepting what's actually happening. Toughness is just plowing through it and not giving detail
Yeah.
to what is really going on. And so we first have to stop and empathize and say, you know what? It is so hard to leave that job when you know you don't like it to start your business. It is so hard because I know your family is not going to really agree with it. And then you're going to be like, what about money? And then how I'm going to feed my kids? Will my
Yeah.
spouse agree with this? What if it flops? You
And
know,
then you
I
end up
know.
not doing it ever.
Right, exactly. And say with them, I see where these things are. So how can we start speaking into these places just one step at a time to make these a little less of a reality? You know, if you're worried about money, okay, can you cut to part-time and maybe start working on your business 5 hours a week? You know, so making that bargain with it
Yeah.
of, if you're not ready to jump fully in, let's start with,
Middle
okay, what
ground.
if it scares you? And
Yeah.
then let's just take one step. Just
Okay.
one. And then after that one step, you can be like, oh, 5 hours a week, I can do it. You know what? I think I can bump it up to 10. And then you get in your foot, and 15 and 20. You're like, all of a sudden, you know what? I want to jump for my business because I've been doing 5 hours a week anyway. And it's like you did that one step piece with yourself. And so, and then with that empathy, it makes you feel like you're seen, heard, and valued. Makes you
Yeah.
feel like your emotions are valid. And I think a lot of times we don't take that time to validate our emotions, so then we just ignore them altogether and keep doing what we're doing.
That's great. That's actually that's pretty great. Learning a lot here. For real. Have you ever seen Shark Tank?
No, oh, I actually auditioned for Shark Tank at a no.
But you've never
Okay,
seen it?
it was real low key. I was at the Black Enterprise Conference. And
Okay.
was there, and I did a short pitch. At that time, I had no idea what pitching was, but I
Yeah.
said, "Look, you're gonna just
What's
try."
your
You're gonna.
run rate? How many have you sold? Like,
I had none of that. I didn't even. I barely knew what my business was at
that
that time.
scares people though.
Yes.
That's kind of my example. So I mean, naturally, I root for the black folks every time. I don't know if that's trauma or not, but I just do. I don't care.
You want us to win because we
Yeah,
ain't been
we
winning
won't listen.
lately.
Also, they go on there, and I kind of want to use this example as well. They go on Shark Tank. They do the whole little pitch. It's something funny, something crazy, whatever it is, right? And then they get down to like the numbers. Just little small like micro aggressions that I see on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was talking to a buddy of mine. Don't let me get sidetracked. Let me get right back to Shark Tank. I promise.
Okay.
He genuinely asked me like, bro, what's going on? White dude, met him in a recruiting school, and he's like a chaplain's assistant, so he has a little faith background. So I guess that's what brought us together. But he was like, bro, I don't get it. All my years, I've never seen racism or anything like that in the military. So I explained it to him. I said, it's not real. It's not be like, come here, nigga. Like, no, it's to be like, bro, it's like he grew that the leadership grew up seeing a black neighborhood be like bad or the ghetto, right? And so now they're placing that microaggression and they store it away in their head on you.
Right.
And so I told him, I said, my last unit, I was the only black dude out of 97 people, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm always having to deal with like, oh, Sergeant Coates, let me touch your waves. Sergeant Coates, let me, what you think about this new song that came out? Just automatically assuming that I like, even like rap music. Yeah, that's a common thing, but like, don't put me no bubble. I don't even like Lil Baby, right? I'm a Cole guy, J. Cole all day. No, so I was telling him all that. And so he understood, but he still didn't understand. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Completely.
Okay, and so then I thought about that, and I was watching Shark Tank, and it's a lot of the microaggressions on there because what's Damon John? Don't trust him. Don't trust him.
I know the names.
Damon John like the only black dude on there.
Okay. Yes.
Bald head dude, FUBU,
mm-hmm.
right? So I feel like I forgot what the dude's name is. Like you can tell like the woman comes on there and she had like a hair care line or something like that, and she was on it, and it surprised the whole panel. You know, they never surprised everybody else is on it on their numbers, right? And so even with the black people that come, like they say, I'm not gonna cry, because they always have like some emotional piece, like this happened in my life, this happened in my life. But the white folks bawling, everybody crying, the whole thing. But one dude, I stood up and clapped because he said, "You want to know what? This happened." And you know that the producers, they'll tell you to tell your story. They'll kind of prep them and stuff. He said, "Yeah, that happened. I'm here to do my pitch. It's cool. I'm not gonna cry about it." And he kept going.
Dang.
So I thought about this for you. So I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you think about what does that look like, or how do you attack that? Because he's in this place of he has these the sharks there, $1 million people, $1 billion, Mark Cuban, everybody, right? But he feels like he can't even be emotional, whether it's for TV
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
What do you how do
I
you attack
think that just doesn't just happen in that arena. It happens in so many arenas. I actually had this conversation with my friend yesterday on what is professionalism in the Black community,
that? Yeah.
and how does it register to white people? So those microaggressions, I've learned in research that subtle racism and microaggressions actually cause more severe PTSD, anxiety, and bipolar disorder than overt
I
racism.
knew I was on to something. I
You
knew
were like, and it's statistical of like, and the worst part is because you feel like you're crazy and you're like, why?
Yes.
Y'all, like you said, you got shocked that I came on here with this line. Why were you shocked? Like it's the subtle things that make you feel crazy. You're like, no, gaslighting,
Yeah.
racial gaslighting. I've learned this term recently, and you're just like, no, that's not what we're doing. And so what the hardest part is we live in a white world where the system was created by these, I don't want to say these white people, but yes, and
No
for
tax
their
out.
own, for like upkeeping the financial structure and the systemic structures. And so there are these certain ideologies of what professional looks like, what things look like, as well as what emotional expression looks like within the Black community versus the white community. So here's a big example. Botham Jean, the his murderer. I can't even remember her name because I guess she's that irrelevant to me. The one that in Dallas that walked up
Yeah.
in his apartment and killed him. She was able to cry tears and, just say, I'm just so sorry. I wish that it was me in front of that gun. And of course, I mean, I probably said that maybe too. I don't know. We don't know if it's staged. We don't know if it's real. Either way, even if it was completely authentic.
Yeah.
The fact that we're like, oh, and even us as Black people, we're kind of like, oh, and it's like, oh, the judge goes and hugs her. But a Black man that kills someone and he's hurting. He knows he can't see his kids anymore. Same feeling. He in his head, he knows, dang, I wish I did not do that. But he can't choke when he cheers up because that's not what he was taught. That's not his place of expression. And so he knows he has a downhill slope that he's about to have a life sentence.
Yeah.
Doing the same crime as someone else who were able to bust some tears. And so it's just unfortunate of those hidden biases that are in all these places, and especially in places like Shark Tank, where this is a big opportunity for a lot of people. And I think that's why, and this is no like shade to Shark Tank. I just think we have to be mindful of where our biases lie in everything that we do, because those subtle things can really make or break someone's view of success. And it's just, again, that's part of what I try to promote on the platform of, I understand that there are going to be spaces in the world that's not going to complement your view of success and your view of your identity. Now you have to decide, are you going to go along with that narrative to survive, or are you going to adapt your own narrative to thrive?
Listen, bars. Bars. I'm telling you, I'm gonna start charging y'all. I say it every episode.
Every 10 minutes, you like, you got to pay $1.
You better cash at me, fam. Y'all get free therapy right here.
Man, that's my goal. Like,
Yeah.
my goal is that Raw Honey is such a lifestyle that I don't have to be doing this anymore in about 20 years. I don't want to be sitting here trying to talk about this because we're liberating ourselves. And I want us to understand, I want it to be to that place where I'm not profiting off of helping people get everything that they deserve that's within them. Like, you know, that's why the podcast is called Nectar, because nectar is raw honey. It is honey. It's just not produced yet. It hasn't gone through the process yet.
Preach.
All of
Woo!
us are raw honey.
Girl.
All of us are those things, but right now we're in our nectar spaces and we're waiting to be picked up. We're waiting to be stung, picked up, brought, processed, pruned through it to become that beautiful raw honey. You know, it's just trusting that process and allowing ourselves to come out of that flower and go where we belong.
So another question they'll do on Shark Tank is they say, what makes your brand or your product proprietary? So, and for one, too, second question in that, is there anybody else like you in your space? Because it seems very like detailed and like specific. And so, like, what makes you different, and how do you feel that you're different than any other person that's doing this?
You know, I can just like say my little statement. The X factor of raw honey, but it's fusing together artistic expression and therapeutic strategies. You know, I'm really passionate about mental health and therapy, but I recognize in our community we ain't feeling that, and I also recognize. I hope the boards don't hear this as I'm trying to get my clinical licensure, but I recognize as much as I love my profession, I love being a social worker. I wear as proud as I do this Ohio State shirt. I really love being a social worker.
Right.
Oh gosh, good luck. So as powerful as that is to me, I also know who invented the social work profession. It was a white woman. And I know that it was a mindset of fixing people. It was like, let's make these ethics, let's protect ourselves, and let's fix these poor, sick people. Poor and sick, let's fix them. And so, you know, time has transitioned, and the profession has transitioned. It was mostly white women. Now it's mostly people of color who works in social work. And so with that, I understand that bringing forth this type of therapeutic methodology to our community doesn't always fit. It's not always, especially, you know, there are parts of the DSM that I would love to see more culturally inclusive. You know, I don't know if you watch Insecure, but
yes, we need to get Molly to talk to you right now. Yes,
sick of her. The whole show.
And it ended terribly, in my opinion.
I was stressed.
Molly got issues anyway.
For nobody. But anyway, think about Nathan being well, I guess I'll just say being bipolar. But thinking about that, my friend and I were just like, what does bipolar look like in Black men? We don't know. And so we were thinking about, I've had my girls that have quote unquote bad attitudes. They don't have bad attitudes. They have anxiety disorder. And it comes off as this strong impulsivity. And so this is stuff that ain't in the DSM that are behavioral struggles that people are going through every day, especially in Black communities.
Well, it's in the Urban Dictionary called Mad Black Woman. That's what people say, or Mad Black Man.
And it's
you're not getting your way or whatever.
It's so upsetting that this impulsivity, this snarkiness, this starkiness is because they're anxious. And it comes off as bossy, controlling, like all these other things. And so I would just love, and so that's why I stepped back from the clinical aspect and doing like, okay, let's all express our stories. Let's all say what we've been through. Let's hear it out loud and then figure out what can we do step by step to liberate ourselves out of what society has taught us for so many years, especially these cultural norms that we have. I just did a series called Unpacking Black Mental Health, and we talked about these weird topics of emotional intelligence within the Black community. The things that we say that we normalize but are actually really unhealthy. The things that we do, the things that are passed down in parenting, you know, the way that we treat our kids. And it wasn't a way of shaming people. It was a way of awareness of like, dang, I don't know what else to do. So this is all I've been doing. But wow, it is really unhealthy. You're right. I don't know what to do. What do I do next?
So what's a bad like ism that you see people doing every day that you feel like we should change because it's not conducive to a good lifestyle? Like
so the first episode we talked about like how we blow a lot of things off in the Black community. Like it's gonna be okay.
Just deal,
I'm gonna
just
give you
deal with
something
it.
to cry about. Why are you crying? You know, so anything around showing emotion, anything around giving energy towards something that's happening. There were some parenting ones we talked about. Because I said so. not and or that's some white people stuff, and we want to communicate and sit down and have a discussion
Is
with
that
the
wrong to
parent and
say? I
child.
say all the time.
Suicide. That's
Why is
white
it?
people stuff.
Why is that bad though? I get like you talk white or you act white, but why is it? Because I'm not finna be in no cave, with
Okay,
the
not that.
bats.
No, we talking
Okay,
about communication. When we're talking about,
I need an
I'm
example.
talking with my child
Okay,
about
okay.
how they act, about why they
Oh,
acted up, and
healthy acts, and you saying that's white people stuff because
yes,
you grew up a certain type of way. Okay,
right, and we think,
okay.
yeah, that's white people stuff. Oh no,
Interesting.
yeah, the cave stuff, yeah, no, there's some stuff I see on TV. I'm like, look at them
Because a
white
lot
people.
of stereotypes is true. We go all ways. I'm just
We
being
don't do
real.
all half that stuff.
And I hate grape cold. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it at
Man,
all. I don't even like watermelons for real. I'm a grape man. I like plums.
man,
Um,
you crazy.
that
But
that's.
that,
Well, go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying that's the things that we've normalized in our language so much, and we've made it so normal that like
Yeah.
it's really hard to say, well, what other thing am I going to say? What other thing am I going to do? And so we were giving tips on how to liberate yourself out of these cultural norms,
Mm-hmm.
of like wanting to be the bad girl, and even talking about, so I'm starting a Black male initiative of
Yeah, you
helping
are.
men on avoidant behavior and emotional, like showing and expressing emotion and what that looks like.
I would
And
love to be a part of that.
oh, please do.
Yes.
I've learned, I have a lot of close men in my life. I was raised by my dad, and
Yeah.
something I've learned is we not, well, literally, but also metaphorically, we cut men off before they can finish their story. We never fully hear a Black man's story.
Ooh.
But we see their action. We see, the promiscuous behavior, the cheating
Yeah.
behavior, the whatever behavior, the aggressive behavior, and we're like, see, he's that. He's a thug.
Putting them in
He's
the
a
box.
two-timer. He's a player.
Yeah.
But what we didn't listen to the rest of is like, yo, I don't have good self-esteem for myself, so I sleep with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I don't even know why. I literally know people that said, I don't even know why I sleep with this many people. I don't even really want to. I just started it and I haven't stopped.
Mm-hmm. I think a part of that too, and we talked about this as well, is us being honest with each other as Black men about things that we know. So like, even like on Instagram, like I might send my picture of, I used to send a picture rather of his girl look real good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he do the same thing every night. Oh, she bad. Yeah, da, da, da.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hit a wall one day. I was like, man, it's not really good for me. And I noticed it because when you look at a certain thing for so long on Instagram, on the explore page, it starts showing more what you see.
Yes.
So like when I got deep into waves, it was all waves. And I was looking up motorcycles, you know what I'm saying? It was all motorcycles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like a mirror to me of like, I gotta calm down.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I would be like on my phone and just scrolling through, and a big old butt come out of nowhere, and my wife right there. It's like, what you look? It's weird, like, right? So now you hiding, now you at an angle, trying to change your phone and stuff. I'm just like, oh, I gotta quit this. And so I was telling them, so like, the thing about it is, it's little subtle things that people say, like, especially in the church community, and like, you just pray it away, and you can,
that was
ask
one
God,
thing on the list.
yeah, you can ask God to just renew your heart, and He will. This is always my caveat, comma, but there's some human application that needs to be applied. It's like studying, not studying for a test, and you like, hey, God, let me get an A on this test. You ain't do nothing. God ain't just finna put the answers in your head.
And you've been so confused on why you got an F. Like, but y'all said to pray. Y'all said give it to me. And my best friend talked about that. We said, what does give it to God even mean? And
right.
That's the thing. We keep saying stuff.
Let
God is
handle
good
it.
all the time. All the time. God is good.
They just
what
think
does that
some
mean?
angel gonna come down and get him $5,000. No, go look for another job, whatever, and God will provide that supernatural increase.
Yes, like gosh, I could talk on that forever and ever and ever.
No, so for me, it was just simple things but when I did it, I felt better, right? Mm-hmm. I felt liberated, whatever word you want to put on it. So I was like, I gotta tell my inner circle this,
mm-hmm. That's so
I was like, bruh, you go through this too? And that's the thing. that's the hardest like statement for guys. If it ain't football, basketball, 2K, she fine, money, whatever, we won't get in our feels. And I'm a talkative person, but I'm good, right? And so I had to like kind of get myself out of the comfort zone. Hey, bro, question. Do
Right.
you find yourself scrolling and going to, he was like, yeah, bro. I was just thinking about that, right? And so like we had a really good conversation about it. And he's want to know, I just double tapped. He's like, I just double tapped on some like 5 minutes ago, And I was like, bruh, this cannot be a coincidence. And so I was like, it's just simple things that we could do to like, obviously watch your eye gates and your ear gates. And mama always say, like, I don't watch scary movies because I dream
Yeah.
every night and I will dream about it and it would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
For guys, too, it's like it's a manly thing. Like, it's like, I want to, like that girl was my trophy. I conquered, all about conquering. You read the 4 Laws of Power, like Law of Seduction. Men have this innate desire to conquer. Even the Bible, like it's how we were built, honestly. We have the ambition, like spiritually, that's how we were built, but it's how we use it, right? And we always talk about the double-edged sword. So it's how to, in a healthy way, I guess, live and have a healthy marriage or have a healthy relationship, have a healthy friendship, deal with the lust that comes with, in this world, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you say about that from a female's perspective? Go wherever you want to go. I know I said a lot, but
like you've been exposed to that perversion and it's really hard because like you said, it's so subtle that you don't realize how far you've gone until you get there and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at my Explorer and all these are butts, and you can serve any spirit that's like that. So for me, I was looking at women, but I was looking at women because I didn't feel pretty in myself. And so I was looking at what men found attractive so I can judge myself against it and hopefully one day look like that, which there was no way I was going to.
Right.
And so I was serving this spirit of hating myself, of like not feeling enough, feeling inadequate, which are all lies from the enemy.
There you go.
But it was just so subtle that I was saying I was following them as inspiration, when in reality I was following them as damage to my spirit. Mm-hmm. And in those situations where I think it's tougher for men, honestly, because there's a very strong culture around what manhood looks like. And so that's why I'm doing this project.
Yeah. Because
I want us to understand what Black men are taught. And I want us to understand that it's like Black men don't just come out trying to be trash. And still to this day, I would never say that Black men are trash, but it's this ideology of that they're taught. I have a friend of mine, I think I told you this on the call, I have a friend of mine who's working with male sexual assault. He was assaulted when he was 9 or 10, and he told his uncle said, was she fine? And he's like, I mean, yeah, she was cute. He's like, okay, then that's a good thing. Man. And that, you have this seed rooted that non-consensual sex is okay for me as a man as long as she's fine. Like, whether I want it or not, whether I'm in a safe place or not, like, I can numb myself and detach myself from having sex with a woman, because in that experience, as long as she was fine, even though I wasn't comfortable with it, even though I still felt pleasure, but I still wasn't comfortable with it, I could still detach from it, because that's what happened the first moment, and that you never know what those first few seeds feed you. And it's hard to go back and connect that, because again, there's such a strong culture around this hypersexuality of Black men. And everybody says this and they think it's a joke, but I always tell Black men, like, honestly, I want to demonstrate respecting you, like, I'm not going to say these out of turn things to you because I want to demonstrate that type of respect to you. And I think a lot of people in society have put on Black men of like, they've told them, like, you don't need to respect respect is different to y'all. It's like brotherhood respect versus respecting your body, respecting your temple. Yeah. I'm like, no, that's an important thing too, because I'm respecting the marriage that you're going to walk into, that you're going to struggle with because of the lust that you're dealing with now. I'm respecting the business you're trying to build, that if I mess up your financial literacy and understanding now, you're not going to be able to go into this place there. So I respect you, like, whole now of the things that you're endeavoring in the future, even if you don't fully understand that. And that's the difficult thing, is like, society doesn't teach Black men that you deserve that type of respect.
Oh, it's the cycle too, because I think about I always think about this situation like if a guy treat this girl real bad, but she was mature about it. We see it a lot of times, and then he like, oh man, if I only if I would have just gave her a chance. It's the cycle in relationships is real heavy as well because he realized how good he had it because now he got another girl still treating him bad like you said, but you was mad. Whatever happened happened, but you still respecting him in that moment. And so I think there's a give and take um, from a female to a man both ways. And like, hey, we all we got. Like me and my wife got this thing like we all we got because we out here far away from home. You know, people ain't supporting, people ain't doing this. They want to come visit, whatever, right? I was like, hey, we all we got, dog. You know, and so like I take that mindset and try to implement it with everybody, not just black folks. Some people just don't get it, but like if you're not on that same wavelength with me, it's really hard for me to do that with you. And
Right.
so that's why I say like that's your superpower, empathy, is because I ain't got that. You got like 2 strikes, 1 strike with me, and so I think to sum everything you just said up in that moment, is like people need to have more empathy and just allow people more time to deal because but it's hard though from a man's perspective too, like to say because me and my wife have had we've had a lot of conversations, like because when we first got together, it was still like people texting me and ex girls I used to just talk to like he was, you know, like it was disrespectful relationship, but to me and the girl, we ain't doing nothing, we good, right? And so like I almost started crying the other day because Kirk Franklin, he was like, what happens is because the guy asked him why's premarital sex so bad, and he said what happens is Joey comes up, whatever, has sex with her, has sex with her, has sex with her. Let's just say it's 3 people. She was mean, she was jealous, she was, you know, all that. Her spirit is a part of you, and then you finally get with your woman, and you got all that baggage, and that's on both sides,
It's
right? But you
been
got all that
swimming
baggage.
within you.
Um, no tag. I'll use myself as an example always because I don't care. Um, it happened to me a bunch of times because my wife, like I was her first, right? And I did not know how to comprehend that. Like I knew it was good, you know, it was great for me. You know, okay, cool, right? But for me, from the things that I have experienced, I was putting it on her early on. And I'm like, why can't you do this? Or why you know? And so it's like, and she just said, like, she said, I don't know. You know, she's like, you know, but and I'm not trying to like, you know, blast her out of nothing, but she cool with it. But it's just like it was on me though. That was my fault for being out in these streets, being
The
promiscuous.
expectation and like that's also another little passion of mine, you know, like the 600 things I want to do
There you
is
go.
like sexual education in that realm of that dynamic is a very serious thing, you
It
know,
is. I had to
what like
relearn how to love my wife.
yes, without the because lust is so strong and
Yeah.
it's so strong that like when you're trying to love, lust comes out and you're like, no, love. And it's like, yeah, lust. And you're like, no. And so it, again, this whole somatic thing of like our body is taught when I really care about somebody, when I'm really feeling for somebody.
Yeah.
I've even had friendships that's turned out into like that of like, dang, like I really didn't actually want to have sex with you. I
Yeah.
just like really appreciated you, and all it could come out was
With sex.
sexual appreciation. And so
Yeah.
when you don't have that attachment, like I don't know how it's expressed to you besides sex, like because you never were taught anything else. Like it goes back to this cycle of what were you taught? What is your emotional intelligence like? Do you have a range of emotions to express, or are you taught like, hey, if you love her, banger, you know? And that's it's so unfortunate because I I honestly think, and this is just such a bias, but I honestly think Black men, when they really open up, are way more expressive than Black women.
We're way
Um,
more emotional, way more
y'all are
sensitive.
so much more. Oh,
Oh
y'all are
yes.
emotional, bro. Like,
Yes.
good God. But I think y'all have so like you're so more in. We're able to express it, but like it hits the core for you, and so it hurts me to know that Black men are selling themselves short in those moments.
Well, it's the
Because
society telling us like, hey, I gave up my girls for you. And so you better be and now like I gotta start all over if this don't work, you know, like I had a whole little team on speed dial.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And so and then you feel like you're looking crazy because you gave up like your heart and like you say, hey, I'm committing. It takes people. I'm talking to the other day. It took them 9 years to marry this girl. And I'm just like, man, I guess, but
Oh, I
it's
know. Oh, I've known worse. I mean, I've known people who also have said, like, you don't know how many times I've heard, you're a wife, so there's just no way I could be with you because,
I've told a girl that before.
yeah,
And
I've heard.
I was just finna say your future husband gonna catch it, boy. You better be ready.
Mhm.
No, I was deep into it, and I met this girl. She was in the Here on Exchange program from what was it? Not Ghana, Nigeria.
Mhm.
Beautiful. I already had it in my sights. I'm gonna do whatever. She said, "Okay, cool." She said, "I can't." I met her. It was all cool at this little party. She said, "Hey, I gotta go to sleep early tonight. But I'll see you tomorrow." She said, "I'm gonna make you dinner." I was like, "All right, bet. First day, let's go."
Yeah.
Listen, first of all, she could cook, nothing else. But for two, she laid a placemat. She told me to sit down.
Mhm.
And I'm like lit and everything. I'm just chilling. I'm in my zone. I'm just, hey, what's up? What we trying to do? She made like plantains, some like type of wild rice, beautiful meal.
Mhm.
She gave me Germex in the beginning. She put the Germex on my hands herself.
Mhm.
She set it down. I ate. She made me eat everything on the plate. She said, "Now make sure you fed.
That is
She good."
beautiful.
And then I was scared.
You're like, you about to kill me?
Yo, I was afraid. Like for one, like we just met. Like, it was cool, but like it was still like early. And
Mhm.
so like she did all the stuff for me. Then she cleaned the plate. She didn't sit down the whole time while I was eating. She gave me conversation. She looked me in my eye, and it was scared. Oh my goodness, I was fearful for my life. And so then we got done eating. She gave me some lotion to make sure I was good. Just make sure, and she said, "I don't want you to have no calluses." And I'm like, okay, cool. And every plan I had went out the window. I
Dang.
threw the condom away in the bathroom. I said, I'm not doing this. I was like,
Dang.
yo, like it blew my mind. And so what guys, from a male perspective, they're not used to that, right? Because and I think we're kind of hardened like that because we're not, I guess, receiving it like that. And I told her, I said, I said, you can't talk to me no more. I said, but she told me, she said in her country, that's how you learn how to serve, not really serve, but you learn how to be a wife and be a mate, help meet, right? Before you do anything else, before you get a job,
Right.
whatever. She said you get shunned if you didn't know how to treat a man right.
Right. Same.
Um,
Yeah. That's what
and
happens in my
and
family.
so for me, like I was deep into it. I was like, well, I knew that. I said, I ain't finna mess you up. I said, I'm gonna mess your whole life up. I said, I don't even want to. But I was honest with her. I think that's been my only saving grace to all of this. Besides God, obviously, is I talk too much, so like I end up talking about my feelings anyway. I'm like, I don't care. I'm push you to the curb anyway, whatever. But like
Right.
the girls would be my therapist. That makes sense. That's the
Dang.
part I wanted to hit as well. And you stop me whenever you want to, but I don't. It's me.
Oh, keep going.
So, and we can talk about this on yours as well too. Deep into
Okay.
that. We would have sex. We would talk, and I'm like, what about my day? Bad stuff at work.
It's
I
like you
mean,
got
like,
everything out. Like,
yo, pillow talk.
dang.
I met you 2 weeks ago. I'm telling you about my daddy issues,
Yeah, because I need to get this out somewhere. And then you feel released. You're like, okay.
and I know I'm not alone on that. I talk to other guys the same way. It's like, hey, I trust you now. We good. You laying in my bed. You might have brought me some water after. Like, we good now. Like, we
Right.
in this space.
Yeah.
That is toxic.
And it's funny. I'm just so
That is
glad.
so
Like, I just hope
toxic.
all the women of the world see you saying this, because a lot of us are saying, like, we're not your therapist. Like,
Yo,
we love to assist you, love to help you, love to listen to your story. But where is that reciprocated? Where is it
mm-hmm.
come to the point where you're listening to me and you're pouring into me,
Yeah.
or you're reaching me like in a soulful way that I just gave my body to you, like, so that's appreciative that you recognize,
Yeah.
dang, like that's not okay. I mean, and it's
Well, that's
natural,
the
right?
thing. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I don't want to lose that thought. We're talking about the worst scenario of a person in this situation. I was raised in a two-person household. I was raised in a Christian background. I had all these I guess benefits that we call it, but I still ended up doing that crazy stuff.
Because at the end of the day, it's not about your accolades and their environment. It's about who you are and what you've done with your own emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence doesn't have a bank account number. It doesn't have an occupation. It
Yeah.
doesn't have it really sometimes. I mean, we do have a skewed skin tone, but it's about how did you handle the things that happen in your life? How do you handle who you are? How do you view women? How do you view men? And how do you maneuver and operate in life? You know, I think of the Enneagram all the time. I don't know if you know the Enneagrams, like the 9 personalities
No,
thing.
you know what the Enneagram is.
It's you should try it. It's really cool. So for anyone that does know the Enneagram, I'm a 2, which is the helper. So
Okay.
all of the numbers are like a positive thing,
Okay.
but they also have their negative traits. And so thinking of like, how do I manipulate life? How do I survive? If I survive by opening up to people or making people open up to me and then dumping all my stuff on them and then feeling relieved, like that's the place where empathy lies,
Mm-hmm.
or lack of empathy lies, because you're like, dang, I didn't even ask them, are you in a space to listen? I didn't
That's so
ask them.
mature. That is so mature.
we
I
don't we don't care, because if you have a whole thing of trash in your hand, you want to
would-
get it out your hands. Like, it's heavy, it's whatever. So you're like, somebody, you literally see somebody's arms like this, you're like, great, yes, boom, and they're like, okay.
yeah. So it's like he's unlearning. I got to read that book too by Humble the Poet. You heard about the book called Unlearn?
Mm-mm.
I send it to you. Well, I
It's
show
true, I
it to
love
you
books.
rather. I might send it to you. Whatever. I give books away all the time.
Ah,
Um, it's I'm halfway through it actually. I started reading it, but we have to unlearn, like you said. And this what I'm saying. This is a conversation, right? It's not like this is like a legit like therapist thing. That's how I'm taking it right now, right? And I'm trying to be the voice, I guess, of the people of asking these questions. So I'm playing devil's advocate. So what if I can't afford it? What if all these excuses that come with it? Or what can I do now, per se, to unlearn a lot of these multi-generational things? What do you recommend for that?
that's a good question. So something I just really started with was my daily routine.
Okay.
Like, I didn't go to therapy for about 6 months before um, I started like this whole journey. So the smallest things of just journaling. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I say, like, if you don't like to write journal, you can voice journal, you can photography journal, like take pictures of your emotions,
Let me try
you
that.
can dance journal.
Yeah.
So however you best express, as long as you're recording it
Mm-hmm.
and you're keeping it consistent. That's a really big way, because that just brings awareness. Um, Look at your social group. So I wrote an article about like the 3 levels of friends: your green, your yellow, and red friends. Put those in those categories. Who are your green friends? Those are the people who are super duper close to you, super duper
Yeah.
safe. Your green friends have to be reciprocated. So I can't be your green and you be my yellow. We have to both be the same green.
Okay.
You have your yellow friends who are pretty decently close, but not as deeply close. Not like I call them jump off the bridge friends, because I
That
really
ride or dies. Yeah.
right, flat out. And then you have your red friends, which I call them to go to the club friends. Sometimes you want those people who are really fun to talk to,
Yeah.
help you have a good time, help to put a smile on your face, but you don't tell them deep things. You don't call them when really tough
Put
stuff
them
is
in their
happening.
space. Yeah.
But yes, but they are fun people to be around, and lighthearted people to be around.
Yeah.
So cleaning out those lists and seeing, dang, am I calling somebody best friend who's a red? Why am I doing that? Oh yeah, I could talk about that all night.
Ooh.
And thinking about, why do I have people in these certain spaces and these certain avenues, and how can I change that? How can I start looking for the friendships that I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Do I want a sensitive friendship, but I keep advertising myself as a non-sensitive person? So all that whole friendship thing can unpack
Wow.
a lot
I
of
have
very.
to re-listen to this like twice.
I know
Man,
it
this is
changed me, and it's, again, the thing about the raw honey process is you're gonna grieve, and I can't wait to do a segment on grief, because we do not talk about how complicated grief is.
Mhm.
We can grieve our best friends, like losing our best friends. We can grieve like losing moments that have to do with the moment. I learned that, so when my mom passed away, I actually did not grieve my mom passing away until about 10 years out. What I would grieve is my dad and I relationship change. My grandma and I's relationship change. I was introduced to suicide. I was always said the girl with no mom. Like, I had to grieve all of these extra
Oh my
things.
God.
And then year 10, I was like, oh, my mom died. I can cry about just that right now.
Yo.
And we don't take accountability when we're struggling to get over things. We're not taking into thought that there's a lot of things in between. Like, when I lose my best friend, that means I feel like I'm losing a part of myself, because I used to travel with my best friend. So that means I either have to start traveling by myself or travel with someone else.
Mm.
And those memories, I have to grieve those memories. I have to grieve those times we had. I had to grieve the person that I was when I met them, because I may not have been healthy then. And even
Wow.
though it was that's the big one. We can also grieve unhealthy things.
Like what?
So when I'm losing my addictive nature, it's okay for me to grieve
Yo.
and say, I'm really sad that I'm losing this horrible thing.
Yes, me. Yes,
Yeah,
I
you think
missed.
yes,
No,
that is
that's
like,
real. I
but I
can
think
attest to that.
we make ourselves feel guilty for that, because we're like, I shouldn't grieve something that should have been gone in the first place. It's like, yeah, because you're losing it. It's a part
It
of
was
you.
close to you.
Yes, it was an intimate part of you. Like,
Yeah,
my traumatic ways and the things that I used to do, the
yeah.
manipulative behavior and all that stuff, I grieved it, because I was like, well, how else do
Mm.
I operate? Like, if I can't do this and that to get what I want,
Ooh, that's
what
what's
else
up.
do I do? And grieving that I didn't have the tools, and grieving that
Yeah,
I was this type of person, and grieving that I hurt this and this person I did not want to hurt,
it forces you to learn, though. It
It
forces you to pull off
does.
that
That's the
scale.
beautiful
That's
part.
kind of like the undertone of this whole conversation is you have to get to a point to where, hey, put up or shut up. You
For
know,
real.
if
And
you,
with that, grace and patience and love is everything, because the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is fear, according to the
yeah,
Bible.
there you
And
go.
so when we're not loving ourselves, we fear everything. We
Mm,
fear who we are. We fear who we're becoming, and we're not informed. When we're fearful, we're also not informed of the full context of the situation. And so when we confront ourselves of, gosh, I was a really toxic person when I was in that relationship, coming
mm,
with love of like, okay, but that's who I was. And I accept that. I recognize everything that has informed who I was, whether it's in my environment, whether it was
mm.
whatever it may be. And moving forward, this is who I'm going to become next.
So, what do you feel about on a relationship thing as well? I wrote that down. I ain't want to forget. So, setting expectations um, for how you operate, right? Like you just said. What does that look like for all the people out there? Like I see all the time on Facebook, not from the male so much, but from a lot of females, like all men trash or this and the third. She never got in a situation, and I gave you my all this stuff. So like the first thing I think about for me, and it's a good thing about being so candid, is I always kind of just be like, hey, this is me. This,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's bad or it's good, like this is what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna be part of it, cool. And you know what I'm saying, move on from there. So in the healthy way, not the J way, how do you let somebody know like where you're at? Even like, are you single?
Yes.
So how do you let the guy know this is the level I'm on without coming off like full bio?
Bruh, still struggling.
I
Um,
mean, because I
I
think
think,
that's a really important question people need to hear because they don't know how to, like you said, express themselves. This is what I've been through without just dumping it all on you. They don't know how
right.
to tactfully, for lack of better words,
Mm-hmm.
let you know, hey, this is how I operate. Because they'll tell you about their kids. Hey, you gonna come in my life? You gotta take care of little Jimmy, right? They don't do
Mm.
it about their own emotional health. So how do you do that?
I think the struggle that we
He said,
all
bruh.
have with that is whew, we don't see the person for the person. We see the person for for their circumstances.
Okay.
And so when we see the person for for that person, you don't have to tell me your story for me to embrace who you are in this
Mm-hmm.
moment, in this time. Um, and I think even like with me having those conversations, I'm not a big dater. I never have been. I'm honestly of like, Lord, just somebody who's in my circle,
My
just do
Boaz.
something like just literally pop up and then marry me the next day, because dating is that's not my ministry whatsoever. But in the few dating moments I've had, I mean, I think there's a summary that we have of this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
These are the core things that have shaped who I am. This is what I do. This is what I'm passionate about. I think, saying like what you're passionate about, saying where you come from, saying like what you're looking forward to in life, and where you are in life.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are like 4 big hitters that you don't have to go too far into. Yeah, I got a record and I actually just got out of prison 2 months ago, and you don't have, and again, no hit to anybody who got a record. I don't mind people who got a record
But
at
you still
all.
gotta let
So
them know, yeah.
just like, hey, just shoot, just are we in a drive by? Are you like, are you moving bricks? Just let me know.
Yeah. Because
But
you never know who could be down for whatever you got going on. So you owe it to that person to let them know.
and I think it's feeling each other's vibe. I think that's something. I'll keep going back to this empathy, but that's what empathy does. Is
Yeah.
it helps me to feel you out, to feel out where can I go with this, and keep kind of playing that dance together, versus
Mm-hmm.
I've had a dumper, which was literally like first time, yeah, I just really hate dating people, honestly, because they just do this and that. Yeah, this girl I talked to, she did this girl I talked to, literally I just had the phone here like this.
Wow.
And so it's unfortunate that um we're not able to read those cues and vibe of like, okay, let me just, it's a dance. And I love, maybe because I like to dance, but
There
it's
you
like
go.
dancing together. You can't just take the lead and like charge somebody across the
Step on my
floor.
foot and my
So
toe.
I'm like,
Yeah.
man, every time I just boom, like with the heel on. We gotta move together. Like, hey,
Okay.
okay, we feeling the vibe, and it's very true because the people I'm actually the closest to are people I can dance with well, and
Okay.
I just learned that.
So dumb question. Obviously you want them to be whole. You're not
Mm-hmm.
into fixing people if you see trauma. I'm sure you can see it from a mile away. Okay,
Fortunately,
right?
that's
And but
maybe the superpower I already got. Is
listen,
I see,
discernment.
I see the people's flaws like in the first 5 minutes, but I also
Uh-huh.
see that gem within them, like in the 6th minute.
Okay.
It's
Wow.
scary.
That is crazy.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's
He gonna have
hard.
to be Superman. That's what's up. I love it. No, you gonna be all right. You cool. What was I about to say?
It's not a good thing because then I attract. That's the men I attract. I attract the men
That's
who
the
have
thing. You're right
flaws
with
that
the
no one else
issues
will
because they
take in,
feel that
and then
healing
I'm
empathy spirit
cultivating
from
those.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
it's they smell it.
so what's the level of so everybody has like something they can tolerate. I say it's not that you're looking for that perfect person, but it's all about what you're willing to tolerate in a relationship. Like my wife could tolerate me talking all the time, right? I could tolerate her being quiet all the time. We mesh, right? But how does that look from what you're willing to deal with? Because I think I'll have people say, well, he got a nice job, he got nice this, nice that, or she got this going on, but she crazy, or she got anger issues. And like how does it look as far as like what am I willing to deal with?
I think just managing what's the impact of it. So kind of, what is I can't think of the term, but there is a term for like deal breakers. And I
Yeah,
guess like
red
what
flags.
are those
Yeah.
that are like, if she's crazy and it's causing damage in our relationship,
Mm-hmm.
it's like intentionally showing that she does not trust me, she does not respect me. I don't want to say, oh, she's fine, she's bad, she's smart, she's intelligent, she's Christian, but she's crazy. And this is causing me self-harm of thinking like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing enough. And I don't have the respect and connection with her. That's too big of a deal breaker. That's too big of a thing. Versus, okay, you know what? My husband's a great person. He has a great job. He has a good heart. He's
Yeah.
active Christian, but he don't know how to shut up. That's okay. Like we can manage that. That's a low threshold. It's not
Yeah.
it's not affecting my health unless he talks over me and makes me feel like I'm belittled or something,
Mm-hmm.
and we have that conversation. But
Yeah.
I think just figuring out what threshold for those things. So that I hate the term. I think it's from Why Did I Get Married Too, when he was
Yeah.
like, you didn't love me, you just tolerated me. And
Ooh.
I don't want to ever be in a situation where I'm tolerated of like, oh, you know, she just goes off randomly, but it's okay. Like, I deal with it. Like, I don't want my spouse, my partner, anything to deal with something that causes them to shut down, to avoid, to disconnect,
Yeah.
to not communicate, because that's not healthy for them and that's not healthy for our relationship. And I don't want you to be I'm going to do a podcast on loyalty versus love. I don't want you to ride
Hey.
along with me and be loyal to me being toxic to us, because our car is going to break down. If you want to ride around with me putting brown sugar in our gas tank, but you saying for the faithfulness of riding along, bro, we're gonna blow up together. That's
That
not good.
you would be surprised. I'm sure you've seen it to where people just like to make you work. We're not even talking about like ties, like children or time, or people say we've been together for so long. It's just they scared to try again. We've been together for 4 or 5 years. I'm gonna waste all that time. Like, pull the Bandaid off. That might be the title of this podcast. Pull the Bandaid or pull the scab.
When you
I don't
said
know.
it, I'm just like, because it hurts. It hurts, and you have to look at the wound. You have to look. You can't hide it
Ooh.
anymore. You have to look at how disgusting it's been.
Let the air hit it. Let it heal. Yeah.
Man, like it's just a lot, but it needs to happen because
Like that.
we continue to put ourselves in situations that we know doesn't make us happy, but yet we make excuses for the situations that will make us happy, and that's so weird. It's so backwards. Like, you know, the serenity prayer of like, accept the things I cannot change and then change the things I can. We do the opposite. We try to change things that we can't change, like changing this man from being more expressive in this certain way, or changing this woman from how she performs sexually. We're trying to change something that may not be able to be changed in that way, but yet we could have just changed by getting out the relationship.
I think when people do that, I was talking to one of my old heads I talked to. I said he said the same thing, well, similar to what she said. When people try to change things they can't change, they need to change themselves. Because that hit me hard. And I was like, man, because I'm always trying to just make sure this good. Even like right now, like, I adjusted my phone like 3 or 4 different times. I'm just right there. I actually like messed up a relationship like that because it was going too well. I'm like, you know, and I was trying to fix stuff that wasn't even broke. Yep, she cool now. She married. She chill. What's up?
Right, everything
you know,
good.
She knows she is. She listen. No,
That's some real.
But yeah, for me, like it's been a lot of that, and so like that's the whole point of no tact, right? So people might hear this, my wife might hear this, and feel some type of way, right? I don't care because we deserve like to have these conversations. We owe it to ourselves, what I mean to say, to have these conversations. This is so rare. This is rare air, right? And so it's not. I'm not trying to be rude or mean or whatever, but it's just like if only on that first date you could just say, "Hey, I deal with this." You know what I'm saying? You know how people take the truth serum or something, it just all come out. Let me know up front. Ask the hard questions.
But
Pull the Band-Aid off
some
early.
people don't want that intimacy. Like that's the other struggle, is like people see that as like being too intimate. And I even had this conversation when I talked to we had our discussion about parenting.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like having that intimate conversation with your kids about,
it's uncomfortable.
You love them. They're like, yeah, I don't want to be that intimate with my kid. If you don't want to be that intimate with your kid, imagine. I mean, I know people who are married that are not intimate. Married and not intimate. They don't know their partner. They're not deeply vulnerable with their partner. And there's a big difference. And again, we're able to maneuver and finesse out of being intimate by using a lot of sex, or by using a lot of gifts, or by using a lot of smoothness, and
over using the love language, as they say.
Using them things.
Receiving gifts.
Yes. Acts of service all the time. Clean your house, clean your car, clean your clothes, all that stuff. But am I being vulnerable? Am I letting you know in the moment when I'm scared, when I'm afraid? Like
that's why your work is so important, is because people need to understand that it's okay. If I had to, it is extremely hard, but only hard, like you said, because this is generational.
Yeah.
This is something that we deal with. The dad doesn't want to be close to his son like that because he might feel like the son gonna grow up gay. I don't want to be too sensitive,
That's
for you. That's for you.
Right,
no, we saving all that for your podcast.
Man. Oh, Jesus.
And so don't, the whole thing, but you're doing God's work. For sure.
Thank you for saying
You
that.
really, you are.
I've heard, I mean, not to give like light to negativity, but there have been like negative things that's been said. And honestly, it sometimes seeps in of like, am I too broken to do this? Am I not good enough? And God is like, so I've just recognized to step in this time, and everything I'm saying here again, it's not to I'm not. I mean, I believe we are all an expert on our own lives. We literally
Correct.
are. And so I'm not saying this in the place I have it together. I still, like, to this day, struggle with vulnerability a lot. I struggle with liberating myself from these societal norms of what I feel about me, what I feel about Black men. Like, I've had to stop myself from thinking like, oh, look at him, he looking like a thug. And I'm like, see, that's that internalized white ideology. You know, like,
Yeah.
I'm going through this day by day. And so I'm saying this from a place of humility, of I get it. I've been in that place where people told me, April, you are not happy this job. You're going to pass out this job. And I've made excuses of staying there. And excuses, you know, they really are bridges to
Monuments of
nothingness.
nothing.
But
Yeah.
hello, but
Okay, Delta.
they also, in that somatic space, are so real. They
Yeah.
feel real. And so now we're stepping out of that place of like not just shutting them down, but saying, okay, what's one thing we can do to make it feel less real?
Bars. I'm gonna find some type of post-editing sound every time you say a bar. It's gonna be like DJ Glue. Something. I don't know.
I was gonna do that in my podcast, but that's too much work.
Yours is really intimate, right? It's you, but you know yours is very intimate. I feel like you got like a candle lit or something when I'm listening to
It
it.
be in
Like,
the daytime. It like it just be a normal day in paradise.
I feel like
Honestly,
you
and
got
it's
a nice
weird when
little,
people say that. They're
yeah.
like, you have this like the voice and the vibe and
It's
the
the
things you're talking about. I said, well, I'd be on my couch. I have some potato chips. Like
yeah, that's the
it's just me
vibe.
telling my story. Like this is, and it's not for me to have all this glory or anything. I just really want to share, like, for someone to not feel alone. Like,
Yeah.
if people put me on this pedestal all the time of like, oh my gosh, you look so perfect, you look so together. Not even perfect, but like you look together, and I'm
That's
like,
just what you see on
if
Facebook.
you only knew.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the journey. And I want you to know my journey so that you can see that you can do it too. You know, when I was a professor at age 23, and I didn't tell my students that I was 23 until the end
Talk
of
your
the
talk.
class.
Yeah.
But they knew my story. They knew all about my depression and everything else. But I told them, I said, I wanted you to see me first. Then I wanted you to tell you my age so that you don't feel like, dang, I can never be a professor. You know, like, seeing my babies, they getting their masters and doing this, that, and the third. I'm just like, I wanted y'all to see, living in color, that you can do this too. That I am you, you are me.
Yeah.
We can do this. And that's the only reason I share my story, is like, I want people to be like, dang, she went through that. She's been through that. She's saying this, even though she looks, wow, okay, I'm not far off, because none of us are far off. None of us.
Yo, that's what's up. This is awesome.
This is great.
It is. See, I knew it. I knew it was gonna be cool.
Man, God is good, for
All the
real.
time, right?
Man, here we go.
Let's lighten it up.
Okay.
All right, let's lighten it up. We learning too much about Jay today, anyway.
Okay.
The company you came out with. Tell us about this holistic healthcare product. What is it called?
So the whole platform is holistic wellness altogether.
This is your brand, yeah. The whole
right.
concept. Okay.
And so I wanted to focus primarily on using life coaching and wellness coaching strategies. So I'm also Gallup Strength certified. So using the strengths profile of like, let's not focus on what's wrong with you. Let's focus on what you do great and make that excellent.
Okay.
It's an approach that we don't talk about. You know, I talk about in all the jobs I've been in, I said feedback and critique is also positive. Don't say, if I don't say anything, that means everything's good. That is not feedback, because if I don't do that thing next time, guess what? It's going to be a critique. Yeah. So I'm trying to teach people into going into not thinking of how to get out of the red, but how to go into the green, and thinking of, okay, what are my top talents and strengths that I do great innately no matter what? And how can I use what I already have, what's already innately within me, to be even greater? And so I do that with like life coaching, especially with artists,
Yeah.
with like entrepreneurs. I call them dreamers, but that's really anyone who has a dream or who has kind of something they really want to cultivate and liberate and transform out of. And then I was like, okay, I love to write. So I
Mm-hmm.
started a blog. I just haven't been working on it lately because
I
dissertation.
tried it, couldn't do it. Couldn't
Man,
do it.
it's a lot to keep up with.
It took me a while to
Um,
get here, I'm telling
it took me a while to start the
you.
podcast. I literally just
Yeah.
started the podcast last month, and
Yeah.
I've been talking about this podcast since 2017.
I was
So
supposed to start this last year. Sure
I think
was.
all of us are like that who have podcasts. Are like this
Well,
was, but yeah,
I needed an outlet because I tried drawing, I tried YouTube. I made some funny videos, by the way. I should send you some. They old, but
yes,
it's
please
cool.
do. YouTube.
I tried all these avenues, but I said, you want to know what? I just need a mic. I need to sit down and run my mouth a little bit. Because I tell people all the time in recruiting, like it's the best job I ever had because I get paid to talk to people
That's
and to kind of
dope.
have that human connection. And so there's an art form. That's why, and that's the whole thing I talked about purpose last week. There's an art form to talking that I didn't even know that I had, that skill set, because my whole life running my mouth, but just kind of feeling people, facial cues, social cues, things like that, and just how to direct, even like to direct the conversation to where you wanted to go organically and not
Yeah,
sound like a robot, you know.
yeah,
Especially even working at the call center, that crazy job. Or I actually worked at two, and just building rapport over the phone, which is super hard, you know.
that is.
You're doing a lot, and like I said, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm not gonna stop. I'm good.
Oh,
No.
the product line. I didn't finish, but
Oh
so
yeah, my
we're
bad.
also releasing a product line on Friday on Juneteenth. It's called Mahogany by B.
That's what it was. That's what I was. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So
And
what kind of
so
products?
in addition to like this holistic practice of expressing yourself and liberating your emotional intelligence and all those things, I went through a lot of physical health challenges, which is what I talked about in my most recent podcast. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just started switching out a lot of my products in the house. A lot of people around me like don't use chemicals, and so I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that it was going to change my physical health that much. You know, just like the essential oils that I use every day on my body, the things that I use on my hair, how much healthier my hair is, how
Mm-hmm.
much healthier my skin is. You're talking about the skin glow, it's because I switched out of chemicals and started making my own products. And
Okay.
so I decided to give it to a couple of people and some of my friends. And they were like, girl, if you don't sell this, and along with this, so the original blueprint of this line was actually for Black men body care line. And I think that's how it's going to extend moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
But I just had a lot of conversation with a lot of men. It's like, needed skincare help, needed hair regimen help, and I was able to like really help them. And they're
Yeah.
like, why don't you do this for a living? Like, why don't you, you know, go places and teach people how to take care of their skin, teach Black men how to take care of their skin and take care of their health. Like, they're gonna listen to you. They're gonna feel that from you. They're gonna
It's
buy
gonna
from
feel
you.
better coming from a woman too.
Really?
Yeah. All
I
my
thought it was
past two barbers have
opposite.
been females. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I get the guy, you know, it's cool, but like, it's just something about a woman cutting your hair. Something about, you know, you receive it better. It can be a toxic
Really?
thing too. Yes. When
That's
guys
I love
love
men.
guys, got they would take instruction way quicker from a female if it's brought to you like you do it.
I'm
You know,
trying,
now
you
don't
know,
yell at
it's
me. You
a
know what I'm saying?
nurturing way of like, look, I care about, this is not just about how good you look. This is like how good you feel and how
Yeah,
holistically you're taking care of yourself. And so I know there's a lot of people that's like, dang, I can't find the products that you're talking about. And so I'm like, got you. I'll make them
yeah.
for you and send them to you.
I had to
So
do the same thing for my hair because like usually you just wash it until like I used to what's that stuff, Head and Shoulders, because I didn't know no better. Right, for my hair I had like dandruff and stuff, but like when I started getting waves I learned about this whole new thing of hair health down to the biotin or whatever, right? You know, just
yes,
water consumption, sleep, the
mhm.
whole thing. And now like I got the healthiest hair known to
I
man.
know exactly. Sleeping on satin pillows.
That's what's up. Hey, I want to buy something. You send me
Please
the link
do. Flash
whenever.
sale on Friday.
Yes. What do
We're
you think
going.
I need though? Like, what's kind of products like
I mean, so you know, you can really hook your wife up with some hair
that?
regimen and some deep conditioner.
That
We
her
have a
birthday
brother
next week.
butter, which is the body butter.
I'm bad on
Actually,
smells though. You got to make something like hyperallergenic because we tide free and gentle everything.
oh no, no,
No smells.
I don't. Again, no chemicals. We're all
Okay.
natural. Everything. My homeboy actually used it during the protest down here, And he was like, I only used it on my arms, and my arms didn't burn, but my legs burned. And I learned so much more. And that's the fun thing about it, is like, I don't even pretend like I'm this like super duper guru on this.
You got
I'm
it. You are.
somebody called me today using the hair regimen, and she said, girl, my dandruff is gone. I said, what? I didn't even know. Like,
doing God's work. You heard it here first.
man, like it's I kept just tearing up, because I was like, Lord, you asked me to put together this product, and I thought it did this, and you had plans for it to do this. Like, and that is just, I'm just grateful for this positioning again. And I put a post today of like, it's not about profit and trying to be yet another entrepreneur, yet another person sell product. It's, I really want people to feel like they're in control of their lives and they're in control of their holistic wellness journey. Like, I want all of us to really feel confident that we can liberate and be healthy, because we deserve that.
Fire.
See, that's
Dropping
why I want the
bombs.
hub. So let me finish explaining the hub. The hub is
No,
not
yeah.
just for happiness and joy, but I wish I could hug police officers and make racism
Okay.
stop. I wish I could.
Yeah, me too.
I wish I could hug people who are homophobic and stop hating the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I could hug administrators and stop being biased in the education system. Like, I wish I had this hug of healing that
Well, you do. You do.
we could see the recognition of love, and get rid of fear. Like I said, that opposite of fear is love. And so I wish we could erase that fear that's within us, whether it's fear of our institutions going broke, or fear of Black bodies, or fear of people of color filtrating the nice neighborhoods, whatever it is. I wish that hug could dismantle that fear, so that we can all see the value in each other.
That's why it takes more conversations like this, is because to heal, right? It takes that. And so but it takes it for us too. Yeah. So that just like I can say, I'm proud of you, congratulations, whatever, right? You need to be fed as well, because you out here hugging everybody. Ain't nobody hugging you, right?
That's something I'm working on.
That's the same. I mean, I'm sure you got your circle of people and everything like that, but it's I
like, just need to use them. That's all.
Right.
That's usually the problem, because I won't ask for no hug.
They should. Yeah, you shouldn't have to ask. Just do it. And so that's important as well, is having people in your space to feed you. I listen to Amanda Seals podcast a lot, and she always talk about, which is our last question for the segment, your peace, right? How do you maintain your peace, and how do you allow people to be that green friend in your life? And so I think we pretty much touched that a lot. But this has been very eye-opening for me. I know I don't want to take up too much of your time today. But part 2 coming.
I see. Man, I'm ready. I'm just grateful. I'm so grateful for you. And I think, this is my peace. This is, sharing my story, hearing the stories of others, connecting with others, just experiencing the alignment of God through everything. Like, that's literally all the peace. And even with all the distress in the world, I was still able to find peace in knowing that there's something I can do that is aligned with God's greater plan that will make an impact on earth. And it may not be today, and that may make me sad that it can't be in the way that I want to today, but it can be in another way that's way bigger than my eyes and heart can ever see or imagine.
I gotta find that bars. I'm gonna do it. I'm telling you.
Do it, please. I gotta hear it all.
I'm gonna send it to you. So the last segment of No Tact Talk is, of course, the scripture. This is a scripture that it hurt to get rid of, because every time I use one, I can't use it again. And I love this scripture. So just like other podcasts you might have heard, this is the scripture tailored for you.
Okay.
No one will ever get this scripture.
I love this.
No one has ever gotten this scripture.
This is beautiful.
And this is something that, I pray about. I pray before I start, and I pray on the scripture that I get. And I feel that it's a time. What's the scripture? Other way. It's a scripture for you in your particular season. Mm-hmm. And it's not ironic that we talked about it. But anyway, I'll get to it in a second. So anyway, I'll explain it. Okay. I'll give you time to ponder. Okay. But it's Isaiah 6:8. This is a very famous scripture because it was also in the movie Fury. You remember that tank movie with Brad Pitt? The war movie?
I don't think I've watched it.
It was so good. It was so good. So I'll set the scene. Now I won't take too much time. They're about to die. Okay, they're in the tank, and you had this the Shia LaBeouf. He was like the preacher of the tank, scripture man. So he kind of set the scene or whatever. They're about to die. You know how it is. You about to die. The music playing. Everybody's scared. They trying to tough through it. They drinking. The
Right.
fields. You in there, and the enemy's coming down the hill. They got like three rounds left in their gun. It's just tragic. So he says, this is Isaiah's commission from the Lord, because Isaiah was one of the prophets. I think, pretty sure it was Isaiah. He was the only one that actually saw his what's the thing? He's the only saw his prophecy come to light. All the other ones in the Old Testament never saw it. That he's the only one that actually saw what God gave to him in the vision. Anyway, so it says, and I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send? And who will go with us?" Then I said, "Here I am. Send me." Savage drops mic. Woo! So that's what he said in the tank. So
you ready? You ready for this irony? Oh, I'm about to start crying.
Go ahead.
Somebody else, and I cannot remember who it was. That's just bothering me. But I remember when I quit my job in December to start my business full time, they said this scripture will always remind me of you. And it was Isaiah 6:8. And I couldn't remember the reference. And so I'm grateful to God that he's brought that reference to me. But they said, you're that person that's always like, God's like, who I'm going to send? And you're like, me.
Send me, Lord.
He could push you, of course, but you always stood up to do. Oh, I'm about to start crying. I'm a thug. Wow.
Yo, so that's why I didn't want to get rid of that too easy. But I was like, man, I feel it, But for me, and I'm not sure if I'm always the one to raise my hand, but I feel like a pull, like on my spirit and my heart. And I think a lot of times we feel it. You ain't got to be in the church. You could be an atheist with it, but I think God still pulls on you. You might think it's your conscience. You might think it's a rock or something that you bought, whatever people believe in, but no, it's God pulling. And so you have to just take that stand. And so, and just like in the movie, they ain't care. They got themselves together. They got a little lit, smoked their last cigarette. Send me, Lord. Right. I'm justified, It was this guy, I think named, not Aaron, but he started with an A, but he was right in front of the judge when they was killing Christians. And he had us maybe 6 verses, a real small story, but it was like the most savage thing I ever read. He walked up to the judge and they was killing Christians, like they was judging him. And he said, "Hey, I love the Lord. You can stone me right now, Judge." Told him point blank. Now everybody else can say it, but it was dramatized. But it's just just to have that stone cold, resolution in you, send me. And so don't lose that. Don't lose it. Let this be confirmation for you to be sent and to go hard. So. You want to say anything about that, or you good?
You said it all. It's a hard thing to step into. Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of Kendrick Lamar lately, going back to his old albums of him deeming himself as a prophet. And it's really hard for me to step in and say, Lord, you really, me? Bruh, what? No. And my friends, I'm saying this in the most humble way, I really am. My friend said that someone asked her, she wants to follow the next Oprah. She was like, bet, follow April. And I was just like, whoa. And so many people said this so many times, all right, next Oprah. And I'm like, where are y'all getting this from? I'm real regular. I'm real basic. Everything. But God is like, don't water down who I've made you to be. Don't water down my work that I put into you. Don't try to hide that down. And it's so hard for me to say, Lord, I'm representing you. The messed up, broken, all this other stuff of me, I'm representing you. God. Yeah. And then for me to even want to step say, hey, I'll do it. That
Bandaid and do it.
Yeah. If people only knew how hard it is every day to step into that, and knowing that God has called me to do this really specific work, and that is really, really reaching people in a way that I never imagined. And that should feel exciting, but it's terrifying to know God, I feel you day by day by day, and you have so much favor over me, and so much favor that you have called me to do your work in your kingdom.
Yeah.
So I needed that. I needed that reminder
Yeah.
that he was searching for me.
Oh yeah. That's what it is. And so for me too, when I'm in that field, because I had to quit watering myself down too. I'm like, I'm dope. You know what I'm saying?
No,
I'm
no,
just
and I'm dope because
I'm
dopeness is within me, because God
I'm
is
just
dope.
dope, man. I ain't finna let
Yeah.
you. One that's another favorite. Stop me. I ain't gonna let you stop me. I always say that. You gonna break me down anyway? Okay, this has been great.
This has been so great. I'm actually gonna get some food now because I
I
haven't
know.
eaten.
I'm looking at Cheesecake Factory right in front of me. It's a
Man,
Louisiana pasta, chicken pasta, something like that.
do
Anyway,
it.
so this has been another edition of No Tact Talk. This has been a great conversation, Miss April, the superstar, superwoman herself. Give everybody your Instagrams,
Oh yes,
your websites, everything.
all that. Facebook is Raw Honey Platform. Instagram is Raw Honey underscore PF.
Yep.
Twitter is Raw Honey PF straight through. The website is www.rawhoneypf.com. And it has all
It.
things about the podcast, photography, anything else you're trying to figure out. So that's
Yes, that will all be in the description as well. So it's always a reminder: live on purpose and have a little no tact in your life. Peace.
I love it.